Well, it's been a while since I made a video about my Parkinson's journey, so I think I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about some of my symptoms in just a little bit more detail. A few videos ago, I went through, using this chart, various symptoms that I did or did not have with my Parkinson's disease. What I'd like to do now is go in a little bit more detail on just a couple of these symptoms. Over here you can see I'm moving the cursor. And what I want to talk about in this video is depression and anxiety, and something that's not listed here, mood change. And then also I would like to talk a little bit about apathy. So that's where I'd like to go in this video. So first on my list for today is depression. Now, I live in the United States. I'm over 65 years old, which means I'm on Medicare. I have Medicare for part of my medical insurance. And here in the United States, if you're on Medicare, once a year, your primary care physician is supposed to give you a wellness check. It's not a physical, it's to see how healthy you are, how well you are. And I just recently had that done. And what they do, they ask you a lot of questions and has to do with your health. But one of the topics is depression. They want to find out if you have any sort of depression. And within the questionnaire, it goes all the way to asking you if you have any suicidal tendencies. So it's very important that you, at least once a year, see a primary care physician or whoever your doctor is and make sure you're okay in that area. Now, everybody isn't over 65. Heck, I'm over 75, even more than that. But there's young people. This can happen to anybody. Young people can be depressed. So I guess the only thing I could say is please do talk to your doctor about this, especially if you do feel depressed in any way. I turned out okay. I'm not really depressed right now, at least, so I'm okay in that area. So let me move on to anxiety. Okay, talk a little bit about my anxiety. Just a few minutes ago, I did a Google search. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I asked the question, what is the life expectancy for someone that has Parkinson's disease? And what came back was 78 to 81 years old. Well, I'm right in there, so I guess I don't have much more time. That was my first thought, and so you get anxious thinking about that. But then I dug a little deeper, and basically the 78 to 81 is whether you have Parkinson's or not. That's the life expectancy for someone here in the United States. And we're all different, so could be more, could be less, I don't know. Let me tell you about my anxiety. Back when I was working before I retired, I started off, I was an engineer for a while, and then I started teaching. But my teaching took me all over the planet. I did a lot of international traveling. And I was afraid of flying. So one could become anxious if you have to jump on a plane and fly for 12 hours to go somewhere. I think it started, well, it was many, many, many years ago when I first started teaching internationally. I was going to, I think I was going to Bangkok, Thailand, and we were living in Chicago at the time. So I flew from Chicago to San Francisco to Hong Kong to Bangkok. And so I get on the plane. I make it from Chicago to San Francisco. We're on the runway. We're taking off on our way to Hong Kong. And we aborted the takeoff. So we're going down the runway. We're going faster and faster and faster. Pilot aborted, got off the runway. He did tell us that they had engine problems. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be over the ocean for about 12 hours. But okay, engine problems, and we're going to have some maintenance people check it out. So, they're working for about 45 minutes. You're a little hammering on the engine and this and that. And all of a sudden, gets back on the runway and takes off. He didn't tell us anything. He just took off. So I'm thinking, okay, now I'm over the ocean until I get to Hong Kong for 12 hours. Anxiety really hit. That's, I think, when I started to first be afraid of flying. Now, when I'm finished in Bangkok teaching, I have to fly home. And I have no control. What am I going to do? How I'm going to be so anxious, I don't know what to do. Well, what I ended up doing, you might think is a little crazy, but it's what I did. I remember when I was taking the shower, getting all cleaned up, getting ready to go to the airport and fly home, taking the shower, and I noticed on my right knee, my kneecap, there's a long hair growing out. It was real long hair, which was unusual. And I thought, well, as long as that hair is there, I'm safe. That's what I used to help me not worry about flying. I was still worried, of course. I still was anxious, but not as bad. So then I kept using that same idea. I was, of course, flying all over the place. And I clean up and, oh, that hair is still there. I should be okay flying to wherever I'm going. But then one time, again, I don't remember where I was going. Maybe I was going to Tel Aviv or Beijing, China, or something. I don't remember, but I was going somewhere. And I got cleaned up. I was taking a shower, and I looked, and the hair is gone. It must have fell out. Now what do I do? I don't think I'll make it. Well, I did make it. So I don't know how that helped in any way, but I was using something strange. You don't have to have Parkinson's disease to have anxiety. Anybody could have anxiety. I'm just curious. Anybody out there, have they done anything like what I did? Anything strange to help them not have so much anxiety? Just wondering. Okay, I'd like to take just a minute and talk about sudden mood change. It's something that's been happening to me just very recently. Here I am, I was born a little boy growing up as a man, and in our culture, you're tough, you don't cry, and all those sorts of things if you're a little boy growing up. Well, recently, I've been having sudden mood changes, and it seems like for no reason. I'm sure there's a little reason, but it seems like no apparent reason it happens. Recently, I could just be watching a cartoon that the grandkids would be watching a cartoon. I'm sitting there and watching, and somebody steps on an ant or some little something, and I'll start to feel like crying, which to me just does not make sense. But it doesn't take but a second, and I go to a mood of very, very sad, and I want to cry. Of course, it doesn't last very long, and then I'm back to normal again. I was just curious. I'm going to have to talk to my neurologist about that. But I'm just curious, is there anyone out there that has had that kind of a feeling recently or in the past? I had mentioned the last symptom that I wanted to talk about is apathy. I really don't care, so I guess I'm done. No, I'm joking. being apathetic or apathy. It was where somebody just doesn't care anymore. They're not happy, they're not sad, they're not anything. They just don't care. Maybe, with Parkinson's as an example, maybe you're out in public and you're on an elevator and then the door opens and somebody wants to get on and you're kind of in the way, but for some reason you freeze. You don't have control over that, and so you're not getting out of the way. You really feel bad. The person wants to get on the elevator and they're looking at you like, how come you don't move? That's embarrassing. So things start building up like that. You have some problems, and then you start not wanting to go out, not wanting to socialize. That's not a good thing. You get to the point where you're apathetic. You just really don't care. In my case, I have to have something to do, something on my calendar. I know recently, looking at my calendar, everything was doctors. Okay, on this day I have to see the heart doctor. On this day I have to see the neurologist. On this day, some other doctor. So, but I got to do more than that. Even if it's just get out of the house and look in the garden and take a look at what the roses are doing, or where we live. It's very pretty here where we live, just like 3 houses away. Now I did not take this photo. However, the photo was taken about 3 houses away, so it's a pretty area. Get out of the house and look at it. Or we could go down to the bottom of the hill and sit down and just look out over the water. My caregiver and loving wife, Paula.